through lots of research, a technology called dry release was developed to enhance comfort and performance. There's 4 very important things that you need to get across to the customer about dry release. The first is engineered permanent performance. Dry release is an engineered blend of wicking and fast drying. It is the optimum blend of those hydrophilic and hydrophobic fibers that work together to pull the moisture off the skin and release it very quickly, to dry very quickly. It's also permanent because of those fibers. You can't wash those fibers out. The fibers are doing the job naturally, so there's no chemistry. So it is absolutely permanent. The second point is fresh guard. If you're going to sweat, then that makes a great environment for bacteria to grow and cause odor. Fresh guard is a natural odor neutralizer that keeps that bacteria from flourishing in the fabric, so it keeps it smelling fresh. The third point that you really need to get across is the natural feel of dry release. Dry release is very unique in the performance world. Most fabrics out there in performance garments are very synthetic feeling, where dry release is going to give you a more natural hand feel. It's going to feel like your cotton t-shirt or your wool base layer. The fourth very important thing to remember is quality control. Optimer certifies all dry release fabrics that are developed. They're tested to make sure that they perform as you claim to the customer. So it's backed by that quality control of Optimer.
Dry release is a patented blend of hydrophilic, water-loving, and water-hating or hydrophobic fibers that are engineered into one yarn. What this allows the fabrics made of dry release to do is to absorb heat-containing sweat from your skin and dry rapidly so you feel more comfortable.
We sweat. We sweat because we want to cool off, and that sweat carries heat out of our body. So in order to provide greater comfort when you're sweating, you want to wear apparel that will pull that sweat off the skin and then release it quickly to evaporate. And that's what cools our skin down and then cools our body down.
Most fabrics interfere with the body's ability to naturally thermoregulate. Dry release was designed to work with the body.
Well, Optimer determined that the ideal combination to pull sweat off the skin and release it at a very fast rate was 85 to 90% water-hating fibers or hydrophobic, like polyester, and 10 to 15% water-loving or hydrophilic fibers like cotton and wool. They determined that that is the ideal combination to pull the moisture off the skin, to pull the sweat off the skin, but yet dry at a very fast rate, to kick it back out of the fabric at a very fast rate.
An example of how dry release is useful is for a hiker or a mountain climber who is exercising during the heat of the day, but maybe going to a much colder environment at night, or even stopping their activity. Typically, you'll see on cotton and other fabrics that during the day, the sweat builds up in the fabric to the point where the exercise period is over or you've reached the summit and you're now in a rest period. That sweat that's locked into those fibers is actually going to go against you. And it causes chills because the wet fabric held against the skin robs the energy from your body. Dry release dries quickly. So all during the day while you're putting sweat into the garment, it's drying. Dry release is permanent. We're not asking the fibers that are there to do anything they wouldn't do naturally. We have the natural materials, the water-absorbing materials, absorbing, and the materials that don't like to absorb water, releasing water rapidly.
The vast majority of performance garments are using totally hydrophobic fabrics like polyester, and then they treat them or modify them with chemicals, with treatments that are hydrophilic, that pull the moisture off the skin. By nature, those hydrophobic fabrics, polyester fabrics, don't like water. They're totally hydrophobic. They don't pull the moisture off the skin, so they have to be altered to make them hydrophilic. So they have a slower dry rate. The other problem is treatments tend to change wash after wash. and eventually totally wash out. Where dry release, that utilizes fibers to do the wicking and fast drying, you can't ever wash those fibers out. They're unchanging.
FreshGuard is a proprietary odor control system. It's a natural technology that's built into the yarn. When it's activated, it creates a hostile environment for the bacteria to grow. When you smell odor in fabrics, you don't smell bacteria, you smell their waste products. By making an environment which is hostile for the growth of bacteria, they produce a lot less odor. So you control odor that way. Dry release is soft because you feel the natural fibers in the blend. Even though they don't make up the majority of the fibers in the fabric, you still feel those at the surface because of the spinning technology and the engineering behind the yarns. It has the care of the polyester or the synthetic, but it's got the feel of that much more natural, much more comfortable fabric against your skin.
Dry release are very low maintenance garments. They launder very easily. Stains come out very easily. Also, they're very wrinkle resistant. I tend to just ball mine up and throw it in the bag, and then when you take it back out, it comes out just perfect. They're very ease of care garments.
Some of the quality control tests we do for dry release involve horizontal wicking, the ability for the fabrics to pick up sweat from the skin. We also check things like dimensional stability. So over the life when you own the garment, it's not going to shrink.
Well, shrinkage is an important part of textiles, and especially so with our performance garments that we have. The fabrics are engineered to only shrink a certain amount, and the garments are engineered only to shrink a very small amount. So with our quality standards and the way we build the products, shrinking's kept to a minimum, ensuring the customer has a comfortable, form-fitting shirt that looks as good as the day you bought it after numerous washings. We measure drying by several methods, but probably one of our most important is saturating the fabric, knowing how much it weighed before saturation and then after saturation. Then you measure the amount of time it takes to get back to the original weight of the fabric. Skin temperature is a very important test for our dry release products. We will actually place monitors on our test subjects, and they will go through physical exercise, and we'll actually measure body temperature throughout the exercise cycle to ensure that the dry release is behaving and performing as engineered. The quality testing we do with our pill tester is to ensure that the garments resist pilling, and i.e. you've got a better looking product throughout the life of it without the ugly pills that you see on some other quality shirts.